Hello and welcome to the 74th episode of the Accountant Success Secrets podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Mark Lee. I'm a mentor, speaker and debunker.
And I'm Philippa Haynes of Insight 101, supporting accountants and bookkeepers to stand out.
Each week on the podcast, we showcase another experienced accountant or bookkeeper who we think can inspire and encourage other accountants and bookkeepers in practice.
Yeah, we both recognise that every accountant and bookkeeper is unique and distinct, and they have different backgrounds, experiences, and reasons for starting and building their practices.
So we ask them to share their stories, including the highs, the lows, and what they've learned along the way. We're looking to explore what makes them different in terms of their background, their successes, their failures, and their focus.
Yeah, so our aim is to provide some fundamental insights for others like you, our loyal listener.
And if you'd like to share your story in a similar way, do please get in touch with Philippa or me. We're now booking guests for November and December. Amazing.
Yeah, that's craziness, but it's wonderful, isn't it? Okay,
Yeah.
so this is our 60th interview. I'm sure it's more than that. But anyway, we are delighted to introduce Simon Mason, who started his firm Simas Accounting and Tax in 2017, after working in a number of other practices and rising to the level of senior manager and partner-designate. Simon originally qualified as a chartered accountant in 2003, working a top 30 firm of chartered accountants in Norfolk. He's worked with a range of similar businesses and business owners throughout his career in practice, and he now leads a team of 4 in the office, which is based in a business park in Bedford. Wow, we've got lots of detail there.
Well, you're very welcome, Simon. I hope we got that right. What would you like to add before we get into the interview?
I think you've covered it all perfectly. So, yeah.
Great stuff. I even got the name right.
Yes.
Okay, then just before we start, we must thank the sponsor of our podcast, Pinnacle Global Group, the trusted offshoring partner to over 150 accounting and bookkeeping firms across the UK and Ireland, led by London-based chartered accountant Mike Pandya. There are offices in London and Mumbai with a team of over 300 professionals. And Pinnacle offers compliance resourcing from accountants, bookkeepers and payroll admins to tax and audit associates, and some value-added support, including management accountants, virtual finance controllers, financial analysts, and more. And of course, they're GDPR compliant, ISO certified, covered by professional indemnity insurance, and offer flexible models, full-time, part-time, or pay as you go. You can even start with a trial period or join their sponsored trip to Mumbai to meet the team in person. So find out more at www.pinnacleoss.co.uk or click the link wherever you're listening to this podcast.
Also supporting the podcast is the Tax Advice Network. Their website enables accountants to choose specific specialist tax advisors for general tax support or for help across any of over 100 areas of tax. It's free to use. You just pay the tax advisor that you choose after agreeing terms with them, whether for ad hoc advice or regular tax clinic type support service for general practitioners. Go take a look at their website, findataxadvisor.online, where you can also register to get their weekly tax tips, which are written especially for general practitioner accountants.
Yeah, and finally, before we start, you can now subscribe to our podcast on the Patreon platform. This is where you can show your love and support for Accountant Success Secrets, and also subscribe for exclusive Patreon-only extras, one of which is at least 10 minutes more of conversation where we talk about all kinds of things. So make sure you tune in.
You'll need to download the Patreon app, but once you've subscribed, you'll get the extra episodes via your normal podcast platform. You'll find details of what to do in our normal podcast notes and on the Accountant Success Secrets pages on Facebook and on LinkedIn.
Right, let's get back to Simon. We like to keep the podcast to around 30 minutes, and we do that by focusing on some, key discussion points.
And I'll go first then. So let's go back to the start, Simon. How and why did you come to set up your own practice?
Exasperation at I had, to be perfectly honest. if we rewind, back at school, I wanted to be a lawyer, and my namesake or surnamesake of Perry Mason and criminal justice and things. I really enjoyed that. So I remember a discussion with. I was very good at maths at school, and I remember talking to my history master, who I think was struggling with numbers and was trying to persuade me, and he said, "Well, do history because that's arguing with words. Maths is arguing with numbers, and it'll do you well." So I hate to say the history teacher also was the first team cricket coach, so I wanted to get in the cricket team. So history. So,
that sounds very familiar. That does. My dad's the same, but with rugby.
I proceeded to do history and geography. I was good at as well. So I did the three core things. But my plan of my cricket career was successful, and I must admit I was the highest scoring batsman in Norfolk in '96, I think it was.
Wow.
I did spend a bit too long doing cricket rather than study. So when I came to university, my grades weren't quite where they needed to be. So it was through clearing. I went through clearing trying to get law, and it was quite competitive and whatnot. So I then went law and business, and then accounting, and eventually, well, I remember at 2:00 my father saying, "Just get somewhere with a good quality at university." Expected me to pull out a rabbit out of the hat or what have you. Anyway, it matured into accounting and finance at Hull University. So I accepted that, did my 3 years, enjoyed it because it was arguing with numbers, as my history teacher said, and sort of ticked the boxes, and left from university and got picked up by what was a top 30 firm to do my, as I used to be called, the articles, but a training contract for 3 years.
Yeah, I did that.
Very good practice to work for. There's 3 in our year group in our office, but there's another 7 or 8 in other offices. So the support network was second to none. Needless to say, I passed my driving test first time. I passed every single exam first time. I had a little dip in the A levels, but never failed whatsoever. And the ICAEW definitely taught me how to fail and the consequences thereon. So not clean passes all the way through, but to be perfectly honest, I was a better auditor as a result because I redid the audit exam and understood it. And I mean, that's one of the things I want to get across is failure is actually a way of learning, not a failure in itself. If you don't fail, you don't pass, you don't improve yourself. So anyway, after 3 years, family issues meant that geographically I wanted to be a bit more central. So I moved up to, just outside of Peterborough and joined a 5-office firm, not quite as large, but was in a smallish office with another newly qualified, qualified the same day as me. And the idea was that us two would replace a senior manager who'd left to join a client. I moved on the day I qualified. The person I was going to share the client base with chose to move 3 months later. So I was in a sink or swim position in terms of a huge client base for my age, quite wet years and a lot to learn. But it was the best thing for me because I came out swimming, I feel. As I say, I moved to a very new area, so not a huge friends base, and just put my head in the books in the week. And one weekends were special for family times. So that carried on for 12 years, and the partner-designate stroke carrot of the partnership to go further and further away. And fell into a recruitment agent who suggested a job in Stratford-upon-Avon, which worked geographically for me, I thought. So moved across. However, my parents, who are still back in Norfolk, my father was disabled and my mother's had health issues as well. I had to go back for a consultants meeting with the medical for my mother at the time, and I remember I left at 7:00 in the morning, drove to Norfolk, got there with about half an hour to spare before the 3 o'clock meeting. Had a half an hour, drove back and got home at 11 o'clock. And I thought, this isn't going to work. This is going to happen more and more. And so moved back to Peterborough. Well, didn't want to do Peterborough because I didn't want to step on toes on where I'd worked. So found a firm in Bedford. And there was a case of not finding the right practice for me. And I'm conscious to say that my views are my views. What other people do doesn't say it's wrong, but I like to give a good quality service, which comes at a price. But I like to know my clients. I like to get involved and make a difference to their lives rather than here's your accounts, here's your tax, and by the way, here's our bill. But at that time, it was very much a cost-conscious marketplace, and everyone was just cutting costs where they could. Clients became client numbers and an email address, no client contact and such like. So after about 15 months, I decided that firm wasn't for me. I tried another firm which was better quality in terms of their client care, but the travel was too far for me, and my partner was a teacher. She'd already moved from Stratford to Bedford. I couldn't make her move.
Wow. Gosh.
I then found another firm which was closer to home, very much was before my time involved with the EBT tax planning side of things, and the strategy was low fees for the accounts and we'll upsell them. I was a senior manager in charge of the client base, getting it in the neck for the fees being over budget, but the fees were too low. EBT had obviously evaporated, so the next big thing was R&D, but the client base had attracted wasn't an R&D client base, so their model just didn't seem to work for my liking.
And were you being shaft? I got shafted once years ago with being told that my tax team wasn't billing enough, and what the partners and the firm didn't understand was that the team was spending time sorting out all the problems caused by the partners' duff advice. And I can imagine the EBT situation, that's Employee Benefit Trusts, which I also got caught out by at one stage, being told that they were the best things since sliced bread and how amazing they were. And I think like yours, the ICAW, if nothing else, does encourage us to be more cynical than perhaps some other accountants and tax people might be.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to the firm I worked for, they gave us plenty of time to try and sort the affairs out and make good, which I know allegedly a lot of firms wash their hands of it, should I say. But fundamentally, if you shuffle some papers and you've got a lower tax to pay, that just doesn't seem right to myself. There's legitimate tax planning like pension contributions, timing of your capital allowance expenditure and such like. There's enough out there rather than just to sort of save money.
But going back to where you were, so you concluded ultimately that you wanted to start your own, or you either wanted to or needed to start your own firm. How did you? What was the catalyst for that, and how did you get your first clients?
It was the 3 or 4 experiences I had, and I reflected on it. I'd worked for a very good practice for 12 years, which was very much client-centred. That I could not find in another practice, and I thought, you know what, I can do it myself. I think there's enough place in the marketplace for me to start. So that was really the catalyst. It was a big move, but however, my partner was a teacher with an adequate salary. She could afford to pay for the household bills if it all did go wrong. It was very much a safety net, but the time was time. I just felt that I couldn't be moulded into something I wasn't.
Yeah, fair enough. That's fair enough. Yeah.
And then how did you go about getting those first clients?
First clients was a lot of subcontract work for other accountants, to be perfectly honest. I took a conscious...
That's fairly common, isn't it? That's pretty usual, isn't it? I think.
I took a conscious effort that I would not contact any of my previous clients from previous practices, which I've heard occasionally happens, but to me, I wanted to do it on my own 2 feet. So
Yeah.
when I made the decision and formed the company in February, end of February 2017, and my father unfortunately passed away in 3rd of March, 6 days later, which sounds horrendous, but was actually the best thing for me because I wasn't pressured under working for someone else. I'd had enough funds in my savings for 6 months so that when I wasn't earning any money, it wasn't the end of the world. I managed to deal with his affairs and the mental side of it as well. So I actually only started subcontracting for other accountants, I think it was May or June time, just doing a week or two. It was a bit cynical, but every practice I went into, I looked at how they did things, what they did. Was it good? Was it bad? So although I got paid for the client work I did, I was actually using it as research, really, to pick and choose what I liked and disregard what I didn't like. First clients, to be honest, I can't really remember how I picked them up, but I think it was probably through advertising online, not Google AdWords, but picked up about £8,000 within 2 months in May, June time. And then it was just very quiet from there on in, really. It seemed to be a slow burn. So I made my mistakes of trying to push things with Google AdWords, spent a lot of money on that, and picked up clients, but those clients weren't the type of clients we wanted because it's very much a cost basis.
Let me sort of pause you there, because I think that's a really important point where there are certain things like Facebook ads and, as you said, Google ads. They're great for some types of product, widgets and stuff. But when it comes to professional, high quality stuff, you're not attracting the right people. As you've said, I mean, it's absolutely bob on what you're saying there.
Yeah, and we learnt that the hard way, I'd say, that to my mind, when you get a new client, the first year you are going to make losses on, because you've got the anti-money laundering legislation to do. You've got 2 years worth of accounts to do effectively because of the comparatives, but you've got to be happy if the comparatives are true and fair. And you've got to get to know the client. So that all takes time. So after year 1, not a very good position. Oh, and by the way, your records are a mess, so you need to do this, this, and this. You're talking to them in month 6 of year 2. So year 2 is going to be messy as well. And you might make a 5-10% costing loss on it. But generally, it's another investment year. It's only when you get to year 3 that you actually get a true sense of the client relationship and the client fees. And year 4, 5, and 6 is where it should be. With Google Ads and the type of clients you attract from there, when the next cheapest person is knocking on their door, they just jump. And if you do the account for 2 years, you've done well. Follow the value of accounting practices. And back in 2000, when I started, I think Mark will have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was something like 6 or 7 times fees for the value of a practice. Now I'm getting offers, having prospective purchases at 0.8 and 0.9, and that's purely.
To be fair, Simon, I think it's been between 0.8 and 1.2 for as far back as I can remember.
I distinctly remember it being 6-7 times fees in the early 2000s when I started.
Fees, not profits.
I'm fairly sure it used to be a lot higher, and 3 times fees, definitely, because even when I was
not heard that before. But
so what else have you learned then, Simon? Because that's a gem in itself, isn't it? I'm sure there are lots of accountants and bookkeepers nodding along, talking about years 4, 5, and 6. What other things have kind of cropped up that you thought, I've learned from that?
I think invest in your clients because it's a long-term game with them. It's not a short-term game. the more time you try to take to understand them, the more they will be retained by yourselves. I think, I mean, I don't know if I'm abnormal, but I tend to take an interest in how old the children are, because I'm thinking at university they've got 9,000 a year to fund, or going up and up. So if they've got a 14-year-old, let's start thinking about it now. And I've got quite a good photographic memory, a good retention of information. So once I'm told something about someone, it tends to stick. So 2 years later, I'll know they have a 16-year-old, and hang on, you've got a couple of years to go before that the pain and such like.
What does it look like? Because I mean, a lot of people talk about spending time with the client. I mean, how do you manage it? Because obviously there's a finite amount of time, isn't there, for you or anybody that works for you? How do you manage it?
We first and foremost, when the clients first make contact, potential clients, we offer a free, no obligation initial meeting. I tend to give a bit too much information of what they need to solve rather than just do the admin side of it. But that's in real time. I mean, the questions I ask is, what do you want to achieve in life? What's your view on tax? What do you want from us? And you get to know the ilk of the person. You get some clients who just do not want to pay a penny of tax. You get other clients who it's a fair tax to pay is perfectly reasonable. So you get to know the mindset. You get to know, I mean, we've got the questions, sort of a standard questionnaire for the clients, and we really sort of get to know what they want to achieve. I mean, you've obviously, this series is called the Accountant Success Secrets. One question I always ask is, what is success? Because most people jump to finance, but actually a 30-week year and 20 odd weeks holiday is successful for someone if they can live their lifestyle, if they can put food on the table, but have a great lifestyle, great home life, and they don't need the extra money. That is successful. Others, if they're not paying out, if they're not losing their personal allowance, they're unsuccessful. Success is different for everyone, and you can't tarnish everyone with the same objectives as such.
Yeah. I mean, success is quite a big fat word, isn't it? And we all think that we know what that person means, but actually, you're absolutely right. Success
I've been reflecting this year in particular, because in 2020 we took on our first apprentice. He's now qualified AAT. He's in his coming up to his first year of ACA exams, and incidentally got the highest mark in Norfolk or in East Anglia apparently in his last exam.
Brilliant.
There's been a huge amount of pride, but what's made me the proudest this year is most definitely he's put his offer in his first house. He's 22 years old. None of his friends have done it, and all of that is down to us. That's success.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. I've got goosebumps there. I just think that's wonderful.
But yeah, it's making a difference to success to me, whether that be staff, clients, or peace of mind. Really, success is different to everyone.
That's amazing. 22. That's amazing.
Well, it's got another half who's self-employed, and yes, we do her accounts as well. But yeah, it's impressive, but it's also quite scary that his first house is 9 times the value of my first house to buy. It's the same bricks and mortar, but it's a different life. But yeah, that's my big success this year, without a doubt. Very proud of it.
I think with good reason as well. I'm sure that's rewarding for you. Feeling good about it, I get that completely. And do you want to share another mistake that you made before we wrap up the main interview?
Just looking back at sort of recent ones, one of the questions which came up was whether to recruit in advance and look to plan ahead, or whether to recruit when you need to. We were forced into recruiting quickly because we had a lot of work to do for following an acquisition. And yeah, my advice to everyone is always have 3/4 of a body too much in the office. If you don't have that, you cannot get the right person at the right time. If you've got someone who's not working 100% efficiently, there's a lot of incentive for you to go out and market and push for that extra work to keep them busy. So I'd always recommend having that extra capacity to be able to push on, and whether strategic growth and plans or whether to just grow organically. A great phrase I say to the clients is, if you don't know where you want to get to, you've got no chance of getting there. If you've got a plan in place, you probably won't get there, but you'll get quite close. And yeah, we've got a vision wheel where we want to be in 2 years' time and what we want to do in 5 to 7 years' time. And I look at it monthly. Last year we had new lighting because we had old fluorescent lights and we wanted LED. We ticked that off and it was a very big tick on the vision wheel. It's little gains. Clive Woodward runs the 1% theory, where break whatever you do down into as small chunks as possible, 20 or 30, make 1% improvement on each of those sections, and suddenly you've got a lot of improvements. If you try and make a 5% improvement on the whole, you'll never get there. So have little goals, little targets, which all align to the same end goal, and you won't go too badly wrong.
That's a great piece of advice, Simon. I'm looking on my shelf because I think I've still got the book somewhere called Power Play, which I read. Can't see it to hand, but I read it 35 years ago, and it had that 1% point in it from the perspective of prices, reducing each overhead cost by 1%, increasing margin, and it all multiplies up to significantly more than your average accountant would think, let alone your average business person. So I think that's really good advice. Find my the book.
I mean, the other similar sort of phrase which I love is if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And
absolutely.
Even if it's a half hour, sit back in the chair. What do I actually want to achieve? It doesn't have to be financial. It could be the number of nice comments you get back from a client when you've done the tax return. It's the number of times the client says thank you in their emails, or it doesn't have to be massive things. But if the clients are saying thank you, they're happy. If they're happy, they're going to pay your bills. If you won't have bad debts, little things all build up, and try and concentrate on the small bits, and the big bits sort themselves out.
I think that's really insightful advice. I think it's crucial to also recognise if clients aren't thanking you, that doesn't mean that they're happy. If you don't hear anything, they might be happy or they might be very unhappy and looking elsewhere. I found the book. It's called How to Succeed, and the date inside 1978 is when I got it.
Oh, I don't even remember then.
I couldn't have written that because that's the year I was born.
Oh, you're younger than me. I hate you.
We had work experience a couple of weeks ago, and they let out that when the London Olympics happened, which was a few years ago, they were 3 years old. Everyone was in tears in the office nearly.
Well, just think about how I feel, given what you've both said about a book that I read in 1978. God, I was, that's crazy. Anyway, we need to sort of move to the close now. And Philippa, having heard everything, and just before I ask Simon to share his contact details, what would you say makes Simas Accounting and Tax unique and successful?
Well, it sounds to me like, I mean, it's all about what Simon said, isn't it? And you're very intentional. It sounds to me like, everything you do is done with intention, and, leading up to your firm, setting up yourself, you work for other people, but even then you were sort of looking and doing your research to see what worked and what didn't and what you liked and everything. And I think this idea of marginal gains, which is what you were talking about, this just extra 1% or whatever it is, these little bits add to a bigger. I think that's all about being intentional, isn't it? It's kind of just really being very clear about making those small steps and improvements and really gaining sort of the big picture. So that's what I
think
pulled
it's also I'd also say it's even if it's business to business, people do business with people, not with email addresses or telephone numbers. Get the right characters of staff. You can improve their technicalities quite easily, but you can't improve characters as easily.
Absolutely.
But get staff who care and
on that,
have the same sort of ethos as you.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Our first interviewee, David Frederick, said exactly the same thing. Recruit for attitude and approach. You can teach the technical stuff. You can't change people's character. Really, really good.
Absolutely. So how can those people who've listened in get in touch with you, Simon, if they've been inspired, which I'm sure they have been?
I mean, the easiest way is to pick up the phone because that's simply the easiest way. It's our telephone number is 01234 675 575. We've got our website, which is www.simas-accounts.co.uk. Or our email address is info@simas-accounts.co.uk. But generally, as I say, we're a people practice, so we like to meet you, get to know you, and see if we are the right accountants for you. We can't be the right accountants for every client, and it's important that the trusted professional advisor is the right one for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's absolutely great advice. And in our extra bonus interview for Patreon subscribers only, we'll be asking you to talk about the biggest challenges you're currently facing, how you're addressing them, and how you're integrating or resisting AI in your practice. But that's for the extra bonus interview, which we'll record immediately after this one. Before that, Philippa, how can listeners find out more about you and Insight 101?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn, or you can visit my website, insight101.co.uk, and I support accountants and bookkeepers to stand out, and that basically means working out what makes them unique and then ensuring that comes out in their marketing, especially their website. Mark, how can people find out about you? How can they
online
get in
everywhere? I'm Bookmark Lee. Even my business card is a bookmark. And one of the things I've learned over the years of working with accountants, running around practice can feel lonely, even when things look fine on the surface. And if you'd like things to feel clearer, smoother, or more rewarding, that's where I come in. Whether you're after better clients, fewer frustrations, more profit on your terms, or just you want somebody as a sounding board about the decisions that you're making, the challenges that you face, the opportunities ahead of you, I'm always happy to have a chat. No pressure, no pitch. Sometimes one conversation's enough. Other times it leads to working together more regularly, or accountants joining my sole practice club. Either way, the first step is easy. Just reach out. And I'd also encourage you to reach out in any event to connect with both Philippa and me on LinkedIn. And do please follow the podcast pages on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Patreon.
Yeah. Sadly, that's all we have time for today on the main podcast. Thank you, Simon, so much for your time.
No problem.
Yeah, our thanks again to the sponsors of the podcast, Pinnacle Global Group, your trusted outsourcing partner. Do check out their website and let their CEO, Mayank, know that you heard about Pinnacle Global on the Accountant Success Secrets podcast.
And thanks to the Tax Advice Network, the easiest way for accountants to reach specialist tax advisors. Remember, there's no charge for using their website, findataxadvisor.online, where you can also access their weekly tax tips, written especially for general practitioner accountants.
Yeah, If you've enjoyed this episode, please share the love online, subscribe and leave a review on Apple, Spotify or YouTube, or let us just have your feedback directly. That would be wonderful. It helps to broaden the reach of the podcast. And please contact either Mark or myself if you would like to be a guest on a future podcast. We're obviously going into January now, January 2026 by the sounds of it.
Well, let's fill up the rest of November and December. Still a bit of space.
Oh,
but
okay.
January will be very soon. You're right. Anyway,
It is, yeah.
Thank you so much, Philippa. Great podcast co-host as ever. Thanks again to Simon Mason, wonderful guest. Next week, our interview guest will be Andrew Coombs, who runs King's Oak Accountancy in Somerset. Before then, we're going to get before then, we're going to get those further insights from Simon for our Patreon subscribers. So please head over to our Patreon page, and that is patreon.com, Accountants Success Secret, singular, don't ask. That's where you'll hear about the biggest challenges that Simon's currently facing and his approach to them. And given everything you've heard him share on this podcast, I'm sure you'll want to hear those too. There'll be some wonderful insights, I'm sure. And I'm no doubt we'll also be talking about how he's integrating AI into the practice or not. Otherwise, until next week or anywhere else that we might meet online or in real life, bye-bye for now.
Bye.